start one of our exclusive seminar sessions. This time we will be giving you some information about the Anki method. As I've heard, it's not something new, right? Actually, the method is there for years, but Rainer worked on it to apply it into backgammon, and he gave me some brief information. For me, it was very interesting. We believe it will be interesting for you too, and that will help you learn the game, not from the computer positions, but not memorizing, but learn the idea behind reference positions. So the word is Mr. Birkle.
Thank you. So, welcome everybody. I hope you can understand me clearly, even in the back row. It shows me that I don't need microphone because the acoustic is very good here. So, if you can't understand me, please let me know that I speak up a little bit louder. So, before we start, I guess most of you probably don't know me, or most likely didn't know me before this tournament here. So I will better do a little bit of an introduction of myself before we go into the message.
I have to go down again.
So, my name is Birkle, obviously, and yeah, I played began already in the mid-80s. So I started at a young adult time to play backgammon and play tournaments all over the world until 1999, where I suddenly decided to do something else. I was a little bit frustrated. I did not get the results I think I deserved. Because today, in retrospective, I know it was not only bad luck. I overestimated my skills at that time, I'm pretty sure. So, anyway, I didn't play backgammon for 20 years, so I didn't touch a checker, anything. I played a little bit bridge, and then I got a little bit into, I like it, into magic. And yeah. And then all of a sudden, yes, I was looking for a new hobby, and then I looked on YouTube. I decided to look for chess videos, and all of a sudden something very interesting came up. So it was in 2019 where the UBC final between Mochi and Sanalilov was running, and of course YouTube algorithm is perfect. I looked for chess videos and I stumbled upon backgammon videos. And then I immediately saw, wow, this game has changed a lot. So that's why I put this question mark here. These times were really good. So I immediately saw this is something I'm very interested to pick up again because it changed a lot. So it's not only in the past it was about money, and here it was really sportsmanship and PR and XG and yeah. So I'm very happy, and so thanks to Mark Olsen for great work. Without them, I wouldn't be here. And yeah, I did what most of you guys do, I guess. I bought XG, played online, and yeah, invest my game. And as you can see, I started around 6.6, 20 years. And today I'm yeah, around 5.2 or 5.3 XG++. And yeah, to be honest, this is really not fishing for compliments. I'm pretty convinced that I have no talent or special feeling for backgammon. So, Marcus. Yeah, that's very true. So all I know, which brought me to 5.2, is learning, and so I'm really looking for new methods because yeah, I know there are many people or many strong players who just have a good feeling for positions. Maybe they cannot even explain so super good, but they play awfully well. So, but that's not missing. So I have learned it really the hard way. Then I was stuck a little bit, and I thought, what might be a good method? And I thought, oh, maybe I would record my matches and say what I'm thinking, and then if I later go through the XG files, I can see how long did it took me to make this blunder, and what was I talking or thinking. And yeah, that's what's the idea. First, just make variety videos, and yeah, So 1 week later I decided, yeah, how do I share with friends to ask for their opinion. And then I started making YouTube, and then I made unlisted videos, and all of a sudden it was public and it was going on from there. So I have this little YouTube channel, and where I have guests, where I play against them, and we talk about the game during the game, and analyze together, and it went from there. And so for me, backgammon, I have two priorities. And the funny thing is, or top priorities. And the funny thing is, playing backgammon is not among it, or among them. So for me, backgammon is getting better. I just see it as an intellectual challenge. I play against myself. So maybe if some of you saw me playing, I'm usually very calm and just focused and usually don't react to what's happening with the dice, because you can't change them. Anyway, so, and the second thing is still not playing. It's socializing. So I found out, especially through this channel, I met so many friends online, and it was so much fun to see them in real life. And yeah, I could stay here the whole week and just have fun and having these wonderful talks. So, and of course, I'm still aware that backgammon is a game, so it should be fun and be played. But I really have this strong belief that you do not learn much by playing. So if you want to get better, you have to study, you have to get books, you have to analyze your own mistakes. And during playing, yeah, in the old days, strong players said you have to play. And they had a reason to say this, because maybe they wanted your money. But I really don't think that by playing that you learn a lot. Maybe some psychological things, but yeah. So you have to decide what's important for you. You want to get better, or you want to play. And the more you play, the slower you get better, I think, and the less you play, the less fun you have playing, but the faster you get better. So that's what how I see it. And to be honest, this method did not help me that much as I thought. So I had to look for more methods, because I have the goal I want to reach at least in my life. So my father will turn 98 this December, so I think I still have quite many years ahead of me. So I want to get at least to 4 or G3 title in the BMIP, so which means playing under 4. So luckily for me, there was the Discord server called Backgammon Prime. Unfortunately, it's only in German. And last December, there was a key moment where someone in the chat, it was Stefan Gumbert, and my greetings, if he sees this recording later, goes to him, because he's having a rough time at the moment, health-wise, and I wish him all the best how he needs now. And he wrote a short comment, now I'm practicing doing something with Anki, he said. And luckily enough, I picked this up and looked for it, and I immediately saw, wow, this is something you could use. So to make it short, Anki has by itself nothing to do with backgammon. Anki, they are digital flashcards. So in the older times, when you're at school, maybe you wanted to learn something or memorize something, you put the question on the front side and the answer on the back side, and had some kind of paper and learned with that. And that's exactly what Anki does in a digital way. So, by the way, a typical use case is learning languages, where you just memorize. And if I'm not wrong, I also learned my first Japanese word, so by this, because they told me, Michi may correct me, that Anki in Japanese means memorization. This is right, or was it false? Right. Okay. So, yeah, and so I started creating these cards, and but to be honest, it was quite a lot of work. I started with just making a screenshot from the position, and then from the XG results, and but the problem was it took me, if I played a match one day, and the next day after I got the XG results, it took me about 1 hour, not studying, but doing the work. And Then in August this year, so this is pretty new, I developed a little program which let me do this work for me. So which means I have my SG files, position files, or match files, and it creates this cards automatically. But more on that later. So what is the basic idea? So I really believe in this. Yeah. I know if you analyze your matches, it's always frustrating when you messed it up again and did a big blunder. I will not mention what kind of big blunder I did recently, but there are some kind of annoyance. But really, if it's not just an oversight, it's really a big opportunity to improve your game. Because A, it's a big thing, not a small thing. And if it's a position that is not a freak position, where a similar position will not, most likely not come up very often. But it's some kind of common position, like in the opening or whatever. Then really, if you can study this position and get it done, and avoid a 100 or a 200 millipoint error, you really have improved your game by a lot. So this, even though it hurts, at least for me it's always hurting, but it's a good chance because you have proof. Here you have a weakness in your game, and you can work on it in different ways. So I think even though a blunder by itself is a bad thing, I think it's, if you want to improve, it's a good thing if you have recorded it. Yeah, if a proof for it. So, but what's the biggest problem in trying to from your mistakes? So what I did, of course, I guess many of you do so as well. If they played a match, they analyze the XG results later on and look at it and find some kind of reasoning why XG shows these numbers and why this is a 100 millipoint error. But to be honest, when I look at the same position later on, it often, at least happens to me, that I make the same mistake again. Which means, so you go through the errors and you want to go through the whole match, and at some point you go over and you say, okay, I got it. And for me, so, yeah, you just, well, quite often, you don't really get it on the first time. And that means you have to detect a blunder, but you have not really improved your game if you did not really understand it. So what does that mean? That means you need repetition in some kind. And so the same problem shows up again, and then you see, I messed it up again. Then what will you do? You have to extend your analyzing. Maybe you look at the dice distribution, or maybe you change the position a little bit and make a comparative position and find out, or maybe it's a match score thing, you want to check the results for different scores. But anyhow, you have to do something with it, but because it's still not solved, and it will not make your game better until you really understood the problem or the position. Or maybe you want to discuss it with other players. Anyway, or some may even go so far that they have a coach and ask him. So the next question is, what should you study? Another question, I think, if you ask 10 people or 10 players, you will get at least 11 answers. So some may say, study backgame, study containment because it's so difficult. So I have a quite general answer at first, don't laugh. Yeah, we should study things that matter. What I mean by that is, yeah, what matters, of course. So with XG, it has an answer to anything. You go through a match and you see 5 millipoints, 10 millipoints. It's all solved, yeah? But should you really study all the positions? I don't think so. You know? So I think that it should either be something that is very expensive, so we're back to the blunder thing, or it should be something that comes up pretty frequently. That's my idea, and from there comes my recommendation, and that's what I'm doing at the moment, is I study my blunders, and of course blunder it's relatively, so we all know that the standard values are for errors in XG 20 millipoints for errors and 80 for blunders, but of course I think maybe someone like Moji, maybe for him it's 10 and the blunder starts with 30, you don't know, or if you have maybe an intermediate player, you have still enough positions where you plan for 100 or 150. So the idea is it's better to go deep, and the quality is more important than the quantity when it comes to analyzing. So the other side of the same coin is you should not waste your time by studying freak positions. You know, sometimes there's positions you mess it up, maybe heavily for 200, but that's a position. So the same position will most likely, except from opening positions, will not come anyway. So you want to be prepared for similar positions, to understand the basic idea of the position. So some kind of freak position, it's just a waste of time and time is of course limited if you look for very small errors. And also keep in mind, we all take it for granted that XG is knows it all, but maybe or likely in maybe 10 years you have another computer who says XG played at PR4. You never know. So if you focus on the big things, it's more likely that it just was really a mistake. If you study things with 15 or 20 millipoints, you have also the risks that maybe another computer has a different opinion. So it's another good argument to focus on the bigger stuff. Okay, so how to study? I already mentioned, and this is how I started almost 1 year ago. I created a simple card, doing nothing special, just entered my G position, and on the back side I put the result. That's where I started. About the buttons we have here, I will come to it later. So this is how I started, and the most you decided to do. And by the way, if you're interested, you will get the PowerPoint presentation if you send me an email, and there's also a lot of free stuff, links to download, so you don't have to write down anything. So, and of course I developed this and added more stuff, and I wanted to show you how my cards look today. Here's the first example, how they look in case if it's an acute problem. So you have on the top, you have always the match score. You can also decide if you want it in the array style or in the absolute style or even both. And you can also decide if you want to have some multiple choice list, which is cube action problems, it's always the same obviously. For checkup maybe it's more interesting. Then you have a diagram, and you have your bit count, and the normal stuff. And you always have this this front side, and then you think about it, and you can either enter. So when I started, I did not include this possibility to really type someone in. But many people, or at least a few, told me it helps me when I have to do some kind of really entering, and not just show me the answer and then later on I decide I get it wrong or I did get it right. So I added this as well. And finally, you either type in the answer, so A, B, C, or D, or you directly go to show answer. So in the case of cube action, what I always do is, I think it's the least you should do, that you always compare it, if you're a tournament player, with a score, which means a money game score, which for me is then a money game without Jacobi. So it's, for me, the equal thing to a very long match, 0-0 in a very long match. So you can get a good idea, is it did I mess it up maybe because I got the position wrong, or did I got the match score wrong, or both? Did I over-adjust or under-adjust? So now comes the part, the Anki part, which it uses an algorithm which is called spaced repetition, which means depending on how you decide, you always have 4 options. You can say, I told him to mess it up, show it again. Then you can say it was hard, it was good, or it was really peanuts, super easy. And these are the time intervals. These change, it depends. So this is a pretty new card, which means if I say hard, it will show up again in 30 minutes already. If I say good, in 1 day, if I say easy, in 4 days. But these numbers change depending how old this card is and how often I took a look at it. So this is this spaced repetition algorithm. So And if you have a very old garden, maybe if you say easy, it will come up in a few months, depending on how long you already work with it. So this was just the same, it was just two, here I got it right. You have this green, the letter you entered, and here you got it, the wrong answer you entered, and we see the right answer. And the rest is the same. So, and for cube action, I always add the dice distribution. I guess many of you know that she has this very powerful extra tool, dice distribution. I don't want to get into this too deep, but this is what I always add to a cube action problem. And what I very soon found out, what is very, very valuable, that you have a field where you add the XG ID. So the reason is, if you want later on want to maybe add second position with a small change, you don't have to set it up again in your XG. You can just copy and paste. So if you go here, mark this or select this, and in Windows Control C and in XG Control V, you already have this position and can make your minor modification. So this is a very small thing, but it's very, very helpful. And a big advantage is, or even though XG is a very, very good tool, what is missing, in my opinion, is some kind of database functionality. So I guess most of you, I assume, have some kind of folder structures and save their positions, or maybe subfolders, and organize stuff like that. I don't know. And with Anki, you have a little database available. And what I'm using tabs. I'll come back to this later. This is very powerful because you can do all kinds of filtering stuff later on. If your Anki decks are getting bigger and bigger, and maybe you have thousands of cards, maybe it's useful that you want to check where did I mess up this position of 4 by 2 away, for example, like that. Give me all these positions. It's super powerful. At least, I guess, at a specific level like this. For very strong players, I think this is very, very valuable. So now a short example for checkup play, how it looks. So you get up to 4 possibilities to choose from, and yeah, otherwise it's the same, the diagram, background, and yeah. So you have your results, you see again here what you have chosen. In this case I choose B, which was correct, and you have here the options again, and bold the correct answer, and you have your XG results. And what I'm doing, and I found out that it's really powerful, that for all checker plays, I always do, for comparison reasons, the money game result, the DNP, cannot save, and get and go. Of course, you often, if you suspect there may be a change, you do this, but at least I found out that sometimes I wouldn't have expected a change. And so it's very useful when you have it on, directly see it. That there's a change, and there's, well, sometimes there are really surprising results. So I think if you are a tournament player and you study checker play, at least beginning with a specific level, you should do this. Okay, I also added here the original action. You see what happened during the game, and the text for later filtering. It's the same as in the cube example. Okay, what I also found out is, we all know, we all love online begin, but one of the big drawbacks of live begins, so nice as it is here at Cyprus, that we don't have a pin count available on your board. So I added a little bit of logic here, so that you have a pin count later, which means when you see this position, so you can configure it in a way that you don't immediately see the pin count, but you see a button that calls show pin count, and there's a little timer who is going up from 1 to 60. Yeah, and I found out, I know it might sound a little bit strange, but even such a small timer puts a little bit of stress on you. So it's practicing Because in a real backgammon game with usually with clocks, time is an issue, you know? And it's easy to say, I do my pip count in 30 seconds. Really, do you? When did you stop it the last time? Yeah? And was it correct? And so the thing is, this timer goes up to 60. It stops at 60 because I think that should be, so my goal would be to get it done in 30 seconds without being a super counter like art, for example. And at the end, you can say show pip count, and you see the results and how many seconds it took you. So you have proof, was I correct? And am I so fast as I thought I'd be? Well, I am. So just a very small thing, but especially when I'm preparing for live tournaments, and if you don't play live tournaments so often like me, it's a good thing to study this. So every problem I study, I also use, so 1 or 2 weeks before a live tournament, I use this pip count trainer functionality just to get me fresh and practice a little bit. Of course, you have all kinds of, I added some configurations so you can decide which, if you see the pip count trainer or not, or things like that. It's just here for completeness. It's not so important to have it here, just that you see you have some kind of configuration possibilities. And I do this, by the way, for the deck name. So for example, if you rename your deck, in square brackets with a P, you have the pip count trainer functionality. Yeah, and what you also can do, and really, I'm so excited about this. It's so easy. You can also add video links, for example. Here's an example I did together with my good friend Dirk Schiemann. And you just add the video link to one of the fields, and then you can either decide, it's already embedded, that you directly into Anki, you can see the video and the position where at the time where this position was discussed. Or you can click on the link here, and then it will open your browser and go to YouTube in your browser. So these are all little details. And now comes something where really Anki is made for, really memorizing things. So this is something that works for me. I know I'm not a big fan of calculating things over the board. I'm just too lazy, and I just think I can do it, at least under time pressure I can't. So my philosophy is that I wanted to, sooner or later, learn them by heart. The 10 points and the game prizes, I decide for me is the most important thing. So you have very simple cards that look like that. And see here, 3-away, open a 3-away, this W2 was the take point. Very, very simple stuff. And on the answering side, you see your take point and your live take point, or as Dirk Schiemann calls it in his wonderful book, Theory of Backgammon, the long race take point. Which, is similar to a live take point, but the live take point in XG is not so.
Can we close this door, sorry? Because it's every 2 minutes the door goes open. It's not so easy to listen. Is it possible to close because the seminar starts?
Yeah, it says it's like 6:30.
Maybe you can
It was
put
6:30.
on
Seven
the next
people.
lecture.
Next one is 6.
Okay.
But it's like this. If someone say I want to go in, I have to let. It will be said.
It's better to stay outside and say it.
Okay, I will wait outside. But if someone say I want to go inside,
Then it's over.
Too late.
Too late.
Next seminar is at 6:30.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And the same I have here for gammon values, same thing, your score, your cube level, and your gammon level. Now I study it step by step. So my goal is to get at least the 7-point match done in my head. Anyway. So why using Anki? That's the question. So the first thing is what's really convenient, that it's for free. So with one little issue, so for whatever reason the developers decided that the app for for the Apple user for iPhone, unfortunately, is not for free. I think it sells for $30 around. But the desktop version, the browser version, and the Android version is for free, luckily. So you have a device like that. So, and it's quite useful that you have two ways to go through your position. You can either use this study mode with this good, hard, easy buttons and this automatic algorithm behind it that shows up the card sooner or later, or you can just browse through your cards, which I use quite often when I prepare, when I do coaching for my students. I prepare an Anki deck for them, so this is quite good. And then I use not the studying mode, I use the browsing mode, and which is kind of nice because, for example, I do always in online coaching. I record the session, obviously, I guess many of you do, and then you can add this video links, and this is the students really love it. And because after the session, you get your Anki deck, and you have already this links directly to the session. So if you see a position in Anki, you can click on it and jump directly to the YouTube video. So this is really, I think, a nice thing. And what's really powerful is, I mentioned it already, you have these filter possibilities. Because if you check your positions, which I do automatically, for example, you have a check for cube act and Checkability, you can later on decide. I even program something that I can detect position type automatically. Like bear, blitz, you name it. And of course, error size. Because, for example, I have created a subdeck with which I call my nightmares. I don't want to mention the millipoint threshold, but it's quite big. You still have, after a while, enough of those, at least if you are so in the in-between level like me, there are enough of issues. And of course, the match score is tapped. So you have all kinds of, you can say, give me all where I mess it up at 4-way, 2-way, combined with position types. So, and also the roles are just included, because maybe you want to do something because everybody says doublets are played so hard. So you can create a subject, give me all double force where I mess it up. And you have all kinds of combinations. But now comes the very interesting thing. For me, still, while using Anki, you could do this with other tools as well. So, not only the software is free, there's also the account you can create is free, which means you have your desktop application, either there are applications for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and you have your mobile and your browser, theoretically, which I don't use. But the big thing is that they are connected via this account, which means you do something in your desktop and the program will synchronize, and on your mobile you go maybe wherever you go, to the bus or the train, and you can continue where you stopped at your desktop, which is super powerful. Yeah, I even made an extra because for me it's so important because I use it so often. So often you have waiting time, where you have to wait for something. So you can use it anytime and anywhere. That's really traveling, when waiting for something or someone, which happens quite a lot. I even use it in the bathroom, not under the shower, but watching TV. Sometimes it's boring. I use it to go through some cards. Yeah.
That's a cigarette.
Yeah, I guess you all get the idea that, and so what I call is, so you get a lot of mini backgammon sessions during your normal day, which you would have otherwise missed, because you wouldn't set up a board or go to your desktop, so it's really... Another thing which occurred to me, so we also focused what we messed up, because XG is a super powerful tool and super strong, but it has no clue what's difficult for us humans. So we cannot say, well done, because they don't know it. They just know the numbers, they don't know what's difficult for us. And even if the second play is 200 millipoints worse, which SG would call trivial, some of them are really not trivial for us humans. So why not create a deck, I thought, and I will do this, I'm sure, where you did something very good. You had a very difficult decision, and you got it right. And why should you do it? Well, what can you learn from it? Maybe you can do it and look through these before an important match or before an important tournament, just to give you better feelings and yeah, like meditation or just visualizing or good emotions. Why not celebrate yourself before important matches? And I think backgammon is a difficult game, and if you are not up to your power on the board, you mess something up if you're not really focused. And anything that could help, at least I will try. And of course, if you work with reference positions, that's the ideal thing to learn them, because these are things you really want to memorize. Just to get it clear, I don't want to memorize my blunders. So the best thing that can happen is that you forget the solution, and next time, so my bad memory helps a little bit, so next time you get the right answer, not because you remember the right answer, but you made your thinking again and came to the right conclusion. That would be ideal. Just memorizing will not help, because the same position obviously will most likely never happen again in your life, but you want to be prepared for similar positions. That's the idea. So just a brief overview how I work daily with Anki. So on my mobile device, I use it mainly for learning. Most of the time I use the mobile device, not my desktop computer. So step by step I want to learn the checkpoints and gammon values, and of course I have my deck with all my blunders and opening errors. And if I found something, I get it wrong again. So what you can do, you can just flag them. So that next time, or even add a short comment, I have to check what if this anchor would be on the 4 point instead of the 5 point or whatever, or this block would be here or not there. And then next time when I'm on my desktop computer, I see the flagged cards and I can do the changes and improve my decks and my cards. That's how I'm doing. And what I'm doing as well is that together with Dirk Schiemann, he created what's called theme decks. So he's also not only a very strong player, he's also a beginner teacher, and he has a huge database, and we work together. And and there's also later one free deck available. So you have all positions, similar idea. Should I make which point is called one, so which point to make. The free deck is called bar split, so where one of the options is should I split two opponents bar point. And on my desktop computer, I usually use it just for creating the cards. I normally don't use it to learn. And I use it, of course, to extend the old cards, which needs more analyzing, add notes, or compare a position, things like that. So how can you start if you want to start? So if you Google for Anki, and as I told you, if you send me an email, I'll send you this presentation, so you will have all these links available. So you just go to Anki and download the program for your operation system. And you create this free account, just very simple, email, password, that's it. And then you are assured that your devices are synchronized. Yeah, there's a lot of free stuff. For example, I showed you this gammon price and take points. There are 175 cards, so it's complete 7-point match. This is a download link, you can just use it. Then I found out, for whatever reason, my memory is really bad. I have some troubles remembering these numbers, because you also need a solution outside your 7-point match or whatever you decided to learn by heart. You have some kind of backup solution that you're not completely lost. So it's just a small deck where you can remember these numbers. And of course, to see how it looks, you can, I'm sure you're not interested in my blunders, but the big advantage is you automatically, if you install this deck, you have this node type which I'm using, which means you can create your own cards with all the work I put in, with all the data fields, with all the layout, you have it automatically and don't have to start from scratch how I did 1 year ago. So I think this will help a lot. And of course, there's a free check available from Dirk Schiemann with 25 cards, which is also for free. And it doesn't stop here. If you want to add your own diagrams and you want to have the same look and feel, the SGPort I'm using, which is created by Rain, is also Rain allowed me to give to all your Anki friends and freaks. They can use it for free. So if you like that, they can buy the song. Of course, that's all very just. So very briefly. By the way, what time is it? How much time do I have left?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay, good. So, yeah, very simple. You have installed Anki before, and you have downloaded an Anki deck, which always have the file extension APKG. And in your Anki application, you have on the lower right corner, you have this import file, and you just click on it. Don't forget to synchronize, and you directly have it on your mobile. And yeah, very simple. And you can start creating your own decks. That's what I mentioned just before. If you have installed one of my decks, you automatically have this node type, which I called again position for obvious reasons, and so you can directly start. And you see there's quite a lot of effort I put into. So at the moment I'm up to 53 different data fields. Yeah, now comes the question, what if I don't want to spend this effort? What can I do? Because I told you, for me, it took an hour for a normal match to create my cards. So you can either have ready-to-use decks that are available. For example, what I did, one of the good things is Backgammon Heroes. I'm pretty sure there are other sources as well, that you can download a lot of matches just for free. So I thought maybe it would be interesting to create a deck with all of Nochi's Landers. So I downloaded 100 matches, analyzed them on ++, and created a deck of it. So you have 261 Landers of Mochi. And the good thing is you can only win. So if you get 1 right out of 10, you're better than Mochi. But there's no guarantee, and I will not give you your money back if you get the wrong conclusions here. So yeah, anyway, but it's interesting how a world-class player, what kind of mistakes a player, obviously, who is incredibly strong. And yeah, but sometimes you get lucky and you avoid a mistake. But sometimes you have to be really good to make a specific mistake. That's another story.
Do these notes ever have things other than the answer? Do they have, like, you know, anything resembling a reason or a few words of explanation? I mean, we can learn through the patterns. But like, when do I split to the bar? Which bar point do I split to? Are there any notes to help us?
There are notes. For example, in the free deck from Dirk Schiemann, he created a YouTube video and explained all the 25 positions. So in each position has the video link. But what I also have to mention, these other decks that are available right now for €9, 25 cards, they have no video solution yet. So they are just the positions.
Is there a field where we can enter our own notes?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Aaron.
Sounds familiar to me. Yeah, so I told you, meanwhile I have 53 data fields in this node type, and one of it is nodes, and one of it is internal nodes, which means, which I use usually if I see something and I want to remind myself what I want to do with this card. And the internal nodes don't show up, but you have it in your database. And the fields nodes, they immediately show up when you refresh. Yes?
Sorry if I just missed this, but in what format are you entering the positions? Are you taking an SGP file And then is Anki interpreting it, or are you taking screenshots?
Yes. So
of the
what
positions?
I'm doing, I created a little program where I can import XG match files and XG position files, and then you get this automatically. If you decided to do it by hand, which I did at the beginning, I just made screenshots and entered it in a data field. So there's one data field position, you enter the position, and there's one data field, for example, XG result, and you enter a small screenshot of that, if you want to do it manually.
But the program that you wrote for importing mass positions,
Yep.
is that available on the login, or?
No, this is currently, no, this is pretty new. I started it in August this year, and it's only offered as a service, not as a program.
Right.
For
Okay, so if we were doing it the basic way, it would be, we'd take screenshots and just put it in the fields that we want to display. Great, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I put you on the spot a bit? Right at the start, you showed us your graph of how your PR was getting better. Can you tell me where in that graph you started using this method? And did you see major advancement in your PR at that time?
To be honest, one of my biggest problems is that, of course, doing things like that, developing this program, this still costs me a lot of time. I don't want to mention how much time it costs. So, and I do have a normal day job, so 40 hours a week. So, please ask me this question again next year when we meet you. So I hope that my PR will be clearly under 5. But the short question would be no, because I did not practice long enough. But I really believe this is the thing. This is the next step. If you already analyze your matches regularly with XG, I think this is the next step.
Well, it's good because I do exactly the same thing, but I do it in a different way, which is very laborious. And I also do end up with a shed load of positions.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an excellent category.
Yeah. Okay. Also, I did create a deck for Dick Schirmann. I guess most of you know that he brought us his book, Theory of Backgammon, last year. And he was kind enough to also, which is, you don't have to buy 15 years to get this. If you go to his homepage, you can download all the positions, which I did as well, and create a deck of it. But if you're only interested in the positions, you can just go to dirk-schirmann.de, and there's a download if you're only interested in the position files, which are 270. Okay, so next question, if you want to get your own personal deck. So this is what I call this SG to Anki service. So I worked a lot on it. What I can do is I have 3 different thresholds. So I can say, give me all cube errors starting at a specific millipoint level. So I can have different levels for cube, for checker, and even for opening. So if you say for opening, I'm interested in 15 millipoints maybe. So I think a blunder in a checker play and in the cube action. So for me, often I live with an 80 millipoint blunder in cube action, but not in checker play. For me, it's different. So you can decide what you want to get based on cube action, checker play, or if it's opening position type. It's 3 different. What I can also do is I can take over commands. I don't know if many of you work with the command feature in XG. So if you have your send me your XG file with already commands in, I can take it over to come back to your question art. So if you have these commands already in your XG file, either position or match file, it will get automatically taken over in your Anki card. With one little drawback at the moment, you can do nicely formatting. At the moment, it's only text. So if you have nicely formatted, if you bold print or whatever, it will get lost, but you get the plain text. And now it gets really nerdy. It was before. So, as most of you know, if you have a doubling position, the XG results, and you have 2 possibilities. Show me the winning percentages for winning single games, gammons and backgammons, double take or no doubt. So, as far as I know, there are 2 different approaches here. some say, I think the Calibers is a big fan that you should always look at double take. And what the XGPort is doing is, if it's a double, look at double take. If it's a no double, look at no double. So you can have it either way, whatever method you prefer. The big drawback is that XG always, if you don't do anything or change anything, it's always no double. It can get a little bit confusing when you see the checkpoint and you think it should be a take or not. Then it's most likely because you did not turn on only the results for double take. So each card contains obviously position diagram, match score, hit count, multiple choice list. So if it's a checkability problem, I always take the first 7, and which happens unfortunately in my case, I did not remove that was in the top 7. Of course, your old move will get added as well. And XG results, XG ID for further exploring and expanding your cards. You can easily copy and paste it into XG, the original action, and kind of information when it was created. And what's really important is here, again, is automatically tagging. So each card is automatically tagged by the arrow size, by the action type, which means cube or checker, match score, role, position type, and player's name. So then I also have what's called the list feature. So the basic idea is if you set the match files, you will get what you send, which means if it's only analyzed on plus, the cards will be on plus. If you want it on plus plus, you have to prepare the file that way that it's already containing analyzing the level you want to have your cards. Then I have this dice distribution, what you saw before, these 3 dice distribution diagrams. For Checkability, at money game, DMP, game and save. And obviously this costs quite a lot of PC power to create this, because here I cannot take it from your files. I have to open a second instance, copy, paste, analyze, and so on. A lot of stuff going on. Yeah, just for, I think, black and white. Try the dark mode. I think it looks a lot cooler. And never forget, I have detected numbers in the future with your game, which I really, really believe in. So you can contact me anytime at rainer@beginnerlife.de, which by the way is also a landing page where there's a button to my YouTube channel. If you want to support me, subscribe. Help me a lot. And yeah, that's it. Minutes we have left. There's time for questions. And of course, luckily for you, I'm only in the last chance.
8:30 now.
Pardon? I'm only in the last chance, which means I have a lot of free time. So I'm here today and tomorrow. You can contact me anytime. Send me an email. Yes, I'm really excited about this. It's all completely fresh. I hope I would almost bet on it, but I have done this before. I would have gone wrong with the other method, so I will have to be a little bit careful. I will be here next year, that's for sure. So, yeah. Thanks very much.